Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Wagner, and today we're going to discuss how much it really costs to build one of these old school GT bikes. And today I'm going to use the example of my 87 GT Pro Freestyle Tour in Dayglow Pink. And this bike is super special to my heart because this was the first bike that I owned when I used to do freestyle way back in the 80s. I'm going to break down each individual part. I'm going to show it to you here on the screen, from the frame to the pedals, the Repop headset, cranks. One thing to note, my bike is sort of a hybrid, so I'm not a purist to where every single part is OG. In fact, I've got probably about 65, 70% OG authentic GT parts from back in the 80s, and the rest are Repop. So we'll go through that and show you what the difference is, and I hope you enjoy this show. Okay, so let's talk about what's first on the list. First, we've got the actual frame, fork, bars, and seat post. Now, trying to find one of these can be a little bit difficult. I bought a few frames, thankfully, that have been in good shape. But if you can get one that's straight, no dents, no scratches, I would say probably anywhere from $1,800 to $2,200 is probably what it's going to cost to acquire a frame. Now, in this particular scenario, I bought mine for $1,800, and then I had to get that frame repowder coated, and that cost me about $300. So that total right there is $2,100. Next on our list are the pedals. And this is where it gets a little tricky and the price can really skyrocket. These particular pedals that I got on this bike, I actually got from Australia. They were already powder coated. They were already refurbished. They looked great. And I ended up spending $700 on those pedals. Yes, I know that is expensive, but that's what they go for. I've seen them go as low as $500 in really rough shape, and as high as $1,400 that I've seen on eBay, which I just think is crazy. But I did spend $700 on these pedals, and we're going to total that up here. Next on our list is the headset. And in this particular case, I got the Repop headset, and it was sold as a complete set. This I paid $200 for, which was a decent price, I think, for an Repop. So from that perspective, I think I pretty much made out on that one. And now we have the cranks. Now I went with Repop on the cranks. Now you can go OG, but let me tell you something. Prices can range anywhere from $1,100 to $1,600. I've seen them as high as $2,000 for some original cranks, which I think is ridiculous for cranks. But there are people out there that'll pay that. For me, I decided to go Repop, and with those Repop, those came out to $170. So I'm good with that for now. Next, we have the bottom bracket. Now, this one, I don't think there's any reason to go OG unless you end up buying a OG crank set where it's already there. But I did go with the Repop crank. So a bottom bracket, 35 bucks, Pork Chop BMX. You can pick those up just about anywhere. Let's talk about the seat. So this is an original seat. This is a GT Viscount seat. And depending on the condition, if the logos are clear and you can see those on both sides, you can pay anywhere from $150 all the way up to $400. So it just really depends on the seat, if there's any yellowing, if the GT logos are there, if there's a minimal rash on the back of the seat. This particular seat was a great condition, I thought, and I ended up paying $250 for this seat. Next, we have the GT seat post clamp. And these you can pretty much find. They're readily available anywhere on BMX Museum or any other eBay sites. These you can get for about $100 to $200 depending on the condition. Mine was $150. Keep in mind I had to repowder that. So you take that $150, add about $75 to repowder it. There's your total. Next, we have the Tech 77 Repop levers. Now, again, for all you purists out there, you can get the Tech 7s. Tech 7s are really expensive. I haven't gone down for that yet. A set of Tech 7s in decent shape, 600 bucks, They can go as little, I've seen them as little as $400 that, are pretty scratched up, and as high as, $800. But again, I had the Repops on this. Tech 77s, those are 60 bucks. Next, we have the Diacomp rear 990 brake. Now, these are OG. These you can pretty much get, and they're not that expensive, thank God. This set here that I got was for $90. Now I did get them refinished and repowdered, so we got to add another $50 to that. Next, we have the Diacomp Nippon front brake. This is OG. This particular setup was $250. It did needed to be powdered, so I had to repowder that. So we're adding another $75 to that. But this is one of the first things you see on a bike. I wanted to make sure that this was an OG front brake along with the 990. So I did spend a little bit more money on that. And next we have the power disc, which is also another expensive part. This particular one is actually in great shape. You can see the wings there. You got to make sure that when you're buying these discs that it's not bent, because I've actually bought one before and it was just slightly bent. I didn't know that until after you put the chain on and then you start spinning the pedals, and then you can kind of see where it just wobbles back and forth. So be careful when you're shopping for one of these power discs. Some of them are bent. Make sure you ask if it's bent. But this particular one, I paid $350 for. It was in great shape, so we can add that to our total. And next we have the GT chainring. These are pretty affordable. This one was $100, and you can see that it's in decent shape as well. And also we have the chainring bolts, which were 50. Those are OG, and you can see the GT logos on the bolts there. So those were $50, and we'll add that. And let's talk about cables. So all the cables are Repop. If you can find a cable that's in good shape, and it's not yellow and it's not frayed, my Survivor actually has decent cables on it. But these were Repop. I got them at Pork Chop BMX, and the lower and upper gyro cables, those were $30, and the Odyssey front brake cable was $10. So very affordable. We're going to add those. Next, we have the GT mount stem. This is an OG. You can expect to pay anywhere from $200 to $350 for a decent condition mount stem. In my particular case, I ended up paying $225, and I had to get it repowdered. That was another $100. So we'll add that. Next, we have the AME grips. These are Repop. You can get these just about anywhere. Certainly, if you wanted to get the OGs, probably $100. In my particular case, I just went with the Repops, and those were $12. So those weren't a huge expense. And now we have the chain. If you get an original GT bubble font chain, $150. I don't know what condition you're going to get. It's all over the map. But in this particular case, I just went with a Repop chain, and that Repop chain was $15. Next up, we have the front and rear pegs. I did go OG with those. I wanted to make sure those were original. Those were NOS, and I found those. I was lucky to find those for $300. It's $150 for the front and $150 for the back, and I think those look really nice. So that was a decent price. But again, if you're going to get anything OG, expect to pay a little bit more. So we can add that. The second most expensive item on this bike is the wheels. That's right, the wheels. These wheels, I didn't want to go Repop. I could have put some Skyways on there for $150, some mags. Didn't want to do that. This, I forked up some money. So yes, these are the Ukais with the Superlace hubs Gen 1. These were original. I found a gentleman that was selling them through BMX Museum, and I ended up paying $1,550 for the wheels. Yes, that is expensive. That's how much they go for. They're very difficult to find. If you find them, maybe you find the hubs, and then you find the hoops, but you never find them laced in original. So these were originals, and when I saw the opportunity, I just took it. So we're going to add $1,550. Tires, you can certainly go with original tires, but I wanted to put new tires on here. These are the GT LP5 Heritages. You can get them anywhere. You can get them at Dance Comp, Pork Chop BMX, and these only cost about $35. Come in black, come in white. I just went with with the $35. That's all I need. I don't need original tires on this particular bike. Of course, you got to get decals now, and you got to be careful where you get decals. These particular decals I did get from C4 Labs. They do sell decal sets there, the originals. They're true to size. I really like them. I really like the way they came out on this bike, and those were $75. Okay, now the moment of truth. When you add everything up just in parts from everything that I've been able to acquire, the grand total is $6,817. Yep, it's not cheap. It is expensive. Now, keep in mind, mine is that hybrid, right? So I've got some parts that are OG and I've got some parts that are Repop. And a lot of the OG parts that I have are kind of the more expensive ones, minus the cranks. If you wanted to purchase a complete Repop bike, I would say that you'd probably pay about $2,000 for a frame set, and then probably somewhere around $2,500 total with frame, all Repop parts. Now I've seen some sites that sell them for 3,000, 3,500 bucks. But I think if you were to build one yourself and you just go with all Repop parts, which you can get, figure you're going to be around 2,800 bucks. Now that $6,817 doesn't include the powdering. So when you add the powdering to the parts that I powdered, and I didn't do them all at one time, it probably would have been cheaper. I kind of did them a la carte as these parts started to come in. So total powdering was $775 for a grand total of $7,592. So there you go. Not a cheap hobby by any stretch of the means, but it is what you're going to pay if you want to build a bike similar to this one. So now, if I was to go all OG, which I've seen people do, you can get in excess of $10,000, $15,000, and dare I say, $20,000. I've seen some bikes go as high as $20,000. Yep. I'm not going to go there. So that's 75.92. I'm okay with. Now I may add some OG parts as I get them, or if I come across a good deal, I might add it to this Dayglow Pink and eventually get it to all OG. But for now, that's kind of where I'm at. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, hit a like if you like the video. Certainly subscribe if you like what you see today. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one.